Good morning, ladies. Grand Rising. Great Rising. This is Laurel, Floral Laurel, your fibroid flower child, here for the 21-day fibroid fix. And I'm here with a great lunch recipe. It's raw and raw vegan, and it's gazpacho. And I also have some ideas for chips and snacks, crackers kind of things to go with it. So to start off, to make our gazpacho, we're actually going to start with flax seeds to make crackers. So flaxseed crackers, I did a recipe back in March and I found a much simpler recipe since then. You just use a cup of flax seeds to a cup of water. And I have a cup of flax seeds right here. And I'm just gonna get a cup of water. Now I'm actually, good morning, Roshan, or good afternoon or evening, I'm not sure where you are. I'm gonna use the same jar and just use a cup of water. I've got my water on warm. It really, I'm sure it doesn't matter, but I think warm water might help get soaked up by the flax seeds quicker. So I've got 1 cup of flax seeds, 1 cup of warm water, and I just mix those together and I just let that sit for about 5 to 10 minutes. It'll become very jelly, very gelatinous. But right now, the flax seeds almost kind of float on top of the water, and so I'm just stirring them in to make sure they're all coated with water. And the thickening is already starting. They're starting to get heavy at the bottom. I'm gonna set that aside. That's done, honestly. Now, to make it a little bit more exciting, of course, you can add salt, but you don't have to. I tend to just sprinkle a little salt in my lid so that I can take a pinch. And I don't know what your salt restrictions are, your salt diet. I'm a bit of a saltaholic. I try to watch out, but I love salt. Pink Himalayan sea salt is extra salty too. It's saltier than table salt. And if you ever can find French gray sea salt, that's my favorite. That's super salty. I love it. And now we're ready to do the gazpacho. We're going to start with 1 tomato. And I just want to show you some beautiful tomatoes I found at the market. These are heirloom, and this is not underripe. This is ready to go. It's a green tomato and a yellow tomato. I'm a bit of a tomato snob. I absolutely love tomatoes, but I'm not a fan of your average standard, what do they call it? Roma. I like Roma. I especially like them if they're organic, but for the most part, the tomatoes, the conventional tomatoes, they're picked too early. They taste like blah, they're mealy. I'm picky, so I go ahead and I spend the extra money on good quality tomatoes, and then I'll eat them. Let's get that visual out of there. So I've already got a cup of tomatoes, or a little over a cup. The recipe just called for 1 tomato, so whatever you think. Here's what I'm estimating to be about a cup or 1 tomato. It was a mixture. I had a red and an orange tomato. So I'm just going to go ahead and put that in my bowl. The next ingredient that we have is red pepper. This is about a 1/2 cup of diced red peppers. Oh, good question. I'm so sorry. Roshan, gazpacho is cold soup. It's cold, raw tomato soup, but it's all fresh, and it's almost what I would consider salsa, but not quite so flavorful. It's more like something you can eat the whole bowl. So this is a really simple cold soup, raw cold soup recipe. And actually I wanted to point out that I like it a little bit warmed up, so I set it on top of my dehydrator or on top of my oven to warm it up, but I don't cook it. I set it on top of the dehydrator or on top of the oven just to sort of let it warm while I'm cooking other stuff. Good morning, Chioma. How are you? Thank you for joining. We're making gazpacho, raw vegan cold soup, which is great for summertime. I've already added 1 giant tomato, and I would assume that's about a cup. And now I've got about a half a cup here of red bell pepper. You're not going to want to go with green bell pepper. That's been, I believe, genetically modified over the years, or it may not be the freshest state. And for some reason, I can't remember. I'm so sorry, but I know Cindy G says no green bell pepper. So I go ahead with the red bell pepper. And this recipe actually called for the orange bell peppers, but they were more expensive. Red was on sale. So we're getting a red bell pepper. I tried to pick an orangey one. And the recipe also calls for half of a cucumber. And I want to show you guys what I do with my cucumber. I've got a half of a cucumber or so right here. I cut off 4 edges. You don't have to cut off the skin, but I think it's pretty, and I believe in enjoying what you eat, so I do what I can to make the cucumber palatable and pretty. So I cut off 4 edges, and then I'm just gonna cut it in 4 ways, and then I slice it. And here is the finished product, already sliced and diced and ready to go. All these ingredients, I'm just gonna mix them together in one bowl. So here's the bowl. And there go the cucumber. The recipe also calls for a 1/4 cup of diced red onion. Got that ready to go, of course. And I'm not a fan of onion. It kind of gives me a sort of a nervous stomach, like a heartburn kind of a feeling. And I can totally tolerate it though if it's been marinated. So I'm excited because I get to have plenty of onion and it won't upset my tummy or make me feel heartburn. And that's just going right in our recipe too, right in our bowl. And honestly, that's it. That's the recipe. Now I'm in California. I love Mexican food. I love tacos, burritos, you name it. I live on salsa and chips, and so this is my little addition. I'm going to put in about a half of a jalapeno, and I chop that very fine, and be sure to get out all the seeds. The seeds are extra spicy and that's too much for me. And also be sure to wash your hands after you cut the pepper, because I have gotten burned hands from cutting jalapenos. That all just goes in the bowl. My soup is almost ready. I need to put some dressing on it. Now the recipe calls for Italian dressing, and I don't have Italian dressing. I don't buy ready-made dressings. Once I started reading labels, I realized I don't need to buy dressing. I need to make my own. And Italian dressing is oil and vinegar, spices, salt and pepper. That's it. So I put together the oil and vinegar. I've got 3 tablespoons or so of the EVOO, extra virgin olive oil. And I've got another 3 tablespoons of Bragg's apple cider vinegar. In talking with friends, we all agree that Bragg's brand is our favorite. It's got the most flavor and the most bang for your buck, so to speak. It's really, seems like it's really rich and full, and it's also got the mother in it, so it's rather cloudy, but that's, I believe that's probiotic health. That's awesome for us. And so I'm just gonna pour all of it over my veggies. I've got a little bit of pepper, And it's pepper to taste, however you like it. I like things spicy. And salt. Again, here's how I do my salt. It's I'm sure not cleanly, you know, safe to do this in a professional kitchen, but I go ahead and just dump out some of my pink sea salt and then sprinkle it with my hands, and then I just set the other stuff aside if I didn't use that. All I'm going to do is stir this up and set it to marinate for about half an hour. And honestly, I made this last week and I only ate about half of it, and I put the other half in the fridge and ate it the next day for lunch. And the second day was amazing. It had marinated overnight and just became like heaven. I don't know what else to say except heaven. It was awesome. So you just stir it up gently, let it marinate. Again, you can set it over your dehydrator or over your oven, checking if, you know, your oven's not too hot, that is. You don't want it to be, you know, cooking, because this is a cold summer soup, a cold fresh veggie raw summer soup. And voila, there we go. Gazpacho. I love saying gazpacho. Now I do have the flax seeds still, and they're about ready to go. I want to show you what this looks like, and I want to show you how I make them. I use a dehydrator, and so it's going to take about, I don't know, 8 to 12 hours for this set of crackers to be done. It's something I love to do at night before bed, and then I can just set the dehydrator on and the crackers are ready by morning. But can you see how thick that is already? 1 cup to 1 cup, the world's easiest ratio. Now for fun, what I have done too is I've added some sun-dried tomatoes and I've added some rosemary leaves and flavored it up a bit, but this time I just added some salt. And here is what the flax crackers is going to go on. I have a dehydrator, and then I've got this silicone sheet so that I can dry soupy or wet sort of foods. Like sometimes if I'm drying, like I'll buy tomatoes when they're on sale and I'll dry them in the dehydrator so that I have my own sun-dried tomatoes. But they don't need this silicone or plastic sheet. They can go right on the tray. But for flaxseed crackers, they're so soupy and goopy, we need something to put them on. And so I just spread the mixture all around this silicone tray. And I smooth it out. I have a little advice about this. It's just super easy, you know, as long as you remember to do it in advance, because it does take a while to dry in the dehydrator. And if you don't have a dehydrator, you can just put this on a low temp in the oven. You're just going to want to put it on the lowest temperature possible, and you're going to want to really keep, not an eye on it, but you're going to want to keep a nose on it for the fishy smell. If it starts to smell fishy, it's too hot. What I've had to do is I've had to dehydrate or bake my flaxseed crackers in the oven with the oven door ajar, even at the lowest temperature, so that lowers the oven temperature even more. But what else I was going to say, let's see. Oh, the last time I made these, I let them sit for too long. I thought, well, whatever, they're soaking, they're going to be fine soaking. I waited about half an hour, and the mixture was so clumpy and was so stuck together, I really had to push and mush to get it down to lay flat onto the tray. So I wouldn't let it soak for more than about 5 or 10 minutes, and then I'd say it's ready to go in the dehydrator. And that's it. Flaxseed crackers. And just so you know, this is also what I use when I'm doing raw foods pizza. This is a great pizza dough. Now I've had one marinating so that I can show you the finished product. How beautiful is that? Grand Rising B! This is Gazpacho. This one's been marinating and I've had it sitting on top of the dehydrator for about 10 minutes, half an hour or so, just while I've been chatting and just a few minutes before I got on camera. And I also wanted to show you the finished product. Here are my finished flax crackers. Along with that, I want to show you one of my favorite store-bought crackers. Have you ever heard of Mary's Gone crackers? They're so bomb. They're so awesome. They're these. Mary's Gone crackers. Sorry, it's backwards, but I'm sure you can find this brand if you look for it. I've seen it for years at Whole Foods. It's now at Sprouts too. They're not cheap. I think it's $5 for a 6.5 ounce box, but they are amazing. And the ingredients: whole grain brown rice, whole grain quinoa, brown flax seeds, brown sesame seeds, herbs, garlic, sea salt, and some tamari, which is non-fermented soy sauce. So there's a dash of soy in this that I'm going to watch out for. I'm going to make sure that I'm not going overboard. We don't want to have any soy in our diet, but a dash of tamari at the end of the recipe, I'm thinking that's okay. And then it says black pepper. That's the only other ingredient. I love Mary's Gone crackers. The last thing I want to tell you about, and I'm sure you see it on this tray, because who doesn't love tortilla chips? And tortilla chips with gazpacho is like heaven. But we can't do tortilla chips. We can't do corn. I mean, we can do a little bit of organic corn, but most organic corn is affected by the non-organic corn. The way corn fertilizes, the way corn reproduces, the pollen blows through the wind to the next corn plant for fertilization. And so there's no way to contain genetically modified corn and keep it separate from the organic corn. That being said, we try, and I have this amazing, awesome version. It's even better than corn. It's sprouted corn tortilla chips. And this is Soshi or Soshil brand sprouted corn tortilla chips, non-GMO, which again, I'm not sure how they can verify it, but it says verified, so I'm gonna trust that. That's it, ladies. Got my crackers. I've got my gazpacho. Grand Rising, Letitia, good afternoon. And we're ready to go. My lunch is made. The other thing that I do is I set my gazpacho on top of the dehydrator to warm it and to help it marinate and let the flavors really marry. Other thing I did, this is super hippie, super not Western. This is definitely Eastern. I think this is a Japanese concept. I think I learned it about tempura. If you look at tempura, when you're eating tempura veggies, they're not shaped right. They're cut strangely into strange shapes. And supposedly what that's from, or why they do that, is they don't cut the way we've been taught to cut. Like how I cut this onion in half, and then in half on the ends. Supposedly that destroys energy, that affects the chi that's in the food. And if you cut the vegetables or the fruits off balance so that you're not going through the center meridian, supposedly that helps maintain more energy and nutrition in the food. So I always try to play with how I'm cutting things up and make it off balance and make it a little off kilter and strangely shaped to protect the energy in the food. I'm sure that this isn't hooey-fooey, airy-fairy, hippie stuff, even if it's not Western. I believe that our ancestors and the people that came before us knew many wonderful, brilliant things. I believe in in you know, old wives' tales and mothers' recipes and, you know, grandma solutions. And so I think it makes a lot of sense if they're going to cut tempura vegetables on a strange angle, not through the center of the food. I think that's brilliant. I love doing that. I think the other thing I wanted to share with you is we've got red, orange, yellow, green, and purple. We don't have any blue, but we've got so much color in here. Hi, Faith. Thank you for saying hi. Thank you for watching. I'm so glad you're watching. This is so much fun. I just want to thank you, ladies, for this beautiful opportunity. This is helping me eat better. This is helping me reset my diet. So we're all in this together. Thank you so much. But I just want to say, Grandma taught me to eat a rainbow. I mean, she also taught me to eat your veggies. And if you think about it, this is technically like all fruit, I think, except for the onion. Because a jalapeno has the seeds inside. That's a fruit. Same with a tomato, same with a cucumber, same with a bell pepper. So this is evidence that we really live on a lot of fruit, and fruit is what's best, in my opinion. I believe in having plenty of fruits and vegetables, as much as possible, as fresh as possible. I think if you eat a rainbow, that ties in with the Hopi prophecy that the rainbow warriors are going to save the planet, and I think the rainbow warriors are really the women of the world. I think it's the divine feminine energy that's got to take precedence now. I think the world needs it. The world needs us. So let's eat a rainbow. Let's be rainbow warriors together. Let's eat fresh raw food, and let's grow and stay healthy and enjoy gazpacho. I'm super excited. I hope you are too. If you make this, I'd love to see pictures. I'd love to see how it turned out for you, and if you doctor it up or make any changes. There's something else, of course, that I add to just about every meal. I'll be definitely having this with some avocado. I live on avocado. All right, ladies, that's all I got. It's great to see you. Oh, I see a question. B, you're already on it. You're so intuitive. I love it. I love it. Thank you, ladies. Thank you for this opportunity. Thanks for the connection and the beautiful comments. I'll see you soon. Mwah.